Benvenuti sulla pagina Lingua Portati di Mano. Questa è portati la lingua italiana, mandinka e inglese. Hi everyone and welcome to my page, The Language at Your Doorstep, bringing you an Italian, mandinka as well as English. But in this video, I will let you know how the simple continuous past tense is formed from an Italian language. All you have to do, watch this video from the start to the end, because at the end of the slide, I will let you know with an example on how you can use them in your daily communication. We are here to boost your Italian communication. Now, we have 10 verbs. Abbiamo 10 verbi. When you say verbs, it is plural. I verbi, it is mean a plural. So these 10 verbs are, number one, we have mangiare, which means to eat, leggere, which means to read, scrivere, which means to write, correre, which means to run, cucinare, which means to cook, studiare, which means to study, giocare, which means to play, guardare, which means to look, ascoltare, which means to listen, guidare, which means to drive. Now, I have already let you know on the meaning of the following verbs from an Italian language. Now, we are coming to know on how to conjugate or to form the simple past tense from an Italian language, okay? Simple past tense continuous tense, okay? Now, how to form this phrase or sentences. The verb stare, which means the verb to be in past simple form, you have to conjugate the verb stare in a past simple form plus the verb in action, which means the verb you are actually doing, or the verb you are actually doing, which means in present tense form. So that will take us on how to conjugate the verb stare, which means to be, in a simple continuous past tense. Okay. Now, number one, we have io stavo, which means I was. Tu stavi, which means you were. Lui or lei stava, which means he or she was. Noi stavamo, which means we were. Voi stavate, which means you were. E loro stavano, which means they were. Now we are coming to select at least 3 or 4 verbs from an Italian. Then I will highlight it to you on how the simple continuous past tense is formed from an Italian language. With the help of the verb to stay, you can navigate and construct your sentences very easily. Now, we are coming to use the verb to eat, which means mangiare, as you can see it in the bracket, which means mangiare, okay? So this is the simple past tense, which we have already conjugated from an Italian language from the verb stare. Now we have io stavo for the first person singular, okay? So mangiare, this is the verb to eat. Okay, when you conjugate it in a present tense, you will have mangiando, which means you have to count the are and add ndo at the end of the verb, which means mangiande, mangiando. Okay, so the first sentence we have io stavo mangiando una pizza, which means I was eating a pizza. This is the form we are in when you are giving an excuse or giving a report in a simple continuous past tense. Okay. For instance, when an Italian asks you, "Che stavi facendo nella camera?" It means, "What were you doing in the room?" Io stavo mangiando una pizza. It means I was eating a pizza. Tu stavi mangiando troppo velocemente, which means you were eating too fast. Number three, we have lui stava mangiando un gelato, which means he was eating an ice cream. Noi stavamo mangiando insieme, which means we were eating together. So as we move to the next slide, we have the verb to read, which means leggere in a bracket, as you can see here. So with an example on how to use the verb leggere with the simple past tense continuous tense, we have 4 sentences. Number one, we have io stavo leggendo un libro interessante, which means I was reading an interesting book. Number two, we have voi stavate leggendo il giornale, which means you were reading the newspaper. Loro stavano leggendo in biblioteca, which means they were reading in the library. Noi stavamo leggendo lo stesso romanzo, which means we were reading the same novel. As I said to you from the second or third slide, to form this one, you have to eliminate the RE at the end of the verb leggere and add NDO, okay? So another example from another slide is we have the verb to write, which means scrivere, okay? Here we have an Italian, or over here we have English, okay? So we have, for example, from the verb leggere as a form of the simple past tense continuous tense, okay? So we have, the first one we have, io stavo scrivendo una lettera. It means I was writing a letter. Lui stava scrivendo un'email, which means he was writing an email. Loro stavano scrivendo appunti. It means they were writing notes. Noi stavamo scrivendo una storia, which means we were writing a story. So, congratulations if you have made it till this second to last slide. We are moving with the verb cucinare. Before I give you these four sentences, or before I read to you the four sentences and their meaning from an Italian to English, please help by supporting my page by following or you subscribe and share, or at least hit the button, the like button, to help support the page. That will tell us that we are doing something significant in the life of the people around the world. All right. Thank you very much. Now we have the verb to cook, which means cucinare in the brackets. Italian, English. Io stavo cucinando la cena. For instance, if your boss asks you, che stavi, but you have to listen to the question. If the question goes like this, che stavi facendo, it means what were you doing, okay? But if the question asks you, che stai facendo, you don't have to answer stavo or stai. No, 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 because the form wherein the interrogation come out is in the form of simple past tense continuous tense, okay? Is it not in the form of present tense, okay? All right. So io stavo cucinando, it means, okay, io stavo cucinando la cena, it means I was cooking a dinner, or I was cooking dinner. Lui stava cucinando la pasta, which means he was cooking pasta. Loro stavano cucinando insieme, which means they were cooking together. Noi stavamo cucinando per la festa, which means we were cooking for the celebration, okay, or for the festival. All right, so this is the end of the slide. I hope you have learned something on how to form the simple continuous past tense from an Italian language, on how to use them. So a brainstorm for you to know on how to form the simple continuous past tense from an Italian. You have to conjugate the verb to stay, which means stare. In a form, io stavo, tu stavi, lui o lei stava, noi stavamo, voi stavate, e loro stavano. That will help you. Plus the verb in action, you conjugate it in the form of present continuous tense. That will help you to form a correct sentences. I hope you have learned something from the page. Thank you very much for staying from the start to the end. Until we meet again, ciao.